Hey moguls, it's Dr. T here, and I'm coming to you with another upgrade. And as always, these upgrades are designed to give you just millions of dollars of value, of quality of life, of money in your bank account. And we're just going to dive right in and start to make some shifts in ourselves, okay? So, the focus we have today is about facing our demons. And in doing so, receiving all of the wealth and the flow and the health and the happiness and the abundance and the absolute fabulosity, I love that word, that comes from doing so, from doing something that maybe 0.0001% of the population will ever do. Because so many of our business issues, relationship issues, life issues, success issues have to do with the fact that there are things that we need to face. And the saying that was created however many centuries ago, face your demons, or this person has demons, or face your demons. What we're really talking about is that in our human design, we are designed with different aspects to our energy system, or you may refer to it as your nervous system. I like to refer to it also as our reality field. And the way that system is programmed when we first come into the world then programs it to run in a certain way. And within that, we have design codes that express when we are at the very high frequencies of reality and hanging out with high frequency people and doing high frequency things and caring about high frequency things. We express the top of that frequency. So I'm going to give you an example for the gene that is prosperity and power, which is my top design gene. In the middle of that design, that gene, because we all have 64 of these, in the middle of that is competence. So if I'm in the middle frequency, I'm going to express competence. And in the low frequency is compromise. Just an example. Every gene has this. We have a high expression, a middle expression, a low expression, just to simplify it, even though it's a range of expression. And a lot of people refer to our demons or whatever as our shadow side or our dark side. But let's just know that it's very simple physics. If we're in a low frequency or around low frequency people or doing something low frequency happens, everything is energy, everything is frequency. We will express lower parts of those genetic codes. And the same thing is true that if we are in the higher frequency, if we are rocking it, feeling great around high frequency people, talking about high frequency subjects, caring about high frequency things, we will express, it'll get more, the difference between a shadow side reaction pattern and a light high frequency side intention pattern. And it'll keep upgrading better and better and better. So we got to face that shadow side, that shadow expression of our human design. We're different aspects of our human design, and different genetic codes within our human design can express what happens when we are in a lower frequency. This is referred to as stress often. We're in stress, so then it expresses the stress version of the gene. Just simplify it. Low frequency, high frequency, middle frequency, just to simplify it. So this is real. And I don't know if it helps calling it our demons over the centuries, but there are darker, shadow, more negative, destructive expressions of all of our gene codes, as there are middle, higher, and just infinite amazingness, amazing expression of them. The light expression. So we got to be able to look at these. We can't just ignore them and expect to thrive, to be our most successful self. We've got to understand, the invitation is to understand when lower expressions of our genetic codes are operating in our programming, expressing themselves in ways we can see, and also checking to see if they are expressing, if that stuff is expressing itself in ways you're not paying attention to. You're subconsciously not getting it. But if we have an intention to face those demons or face that shadow, those shadow aspects of us that are either hidden or hidden from us, but trust me, they're not hidden from other people. They can see it. And we don't want those things operate. We don't want to have to be like pretending they're not there and then carrying them on board and then having them ruin our plans while we're doing all this awesome stuff. We got to be able to look them right in the face. We got to be able to go, okay, like let's just take that gene code for prosperity and power, and then the middle is competence and the bottom is compromise. So, very clearly, here's an example of facing the demon, facing the shadow side. Very clearly, I am well aware that if I go into a low frequency experience with a low frequency person or they're expressing low frequency behavior or energy to me, I can then end up downgrading in that frequency into that frequency and then expressing compromise. It'll just happen. It'll just be like everything I do, I'll do in some compromised way. I'll say yes when I mean no. I'll do something. It's like clockwork. If we are in low frequency, hanging out with low frequency people will express the low frequency expression of that gene. But that's the indicator. Woo, look at that. I just wanted to compromise, or I just compromised again, or was just about to compromise. It tells us, boom, there I'm facing it. The shadow is kicking in, must be a stressful low frequency situation. So I want to shift to my high frequency intentions. The good news is when we shift into intentionality, it already raises our frequency. It's like, here's this thing, but what's my intention? Now I start to move up the trajectory of the frequency. Now I start to get into more competency, which is the middle of the frequency, and my competence to say, yes, no, maybe, this is my decision. And the more I go into intention, what's my intention? My highest intention, not just intention, but my highest intention. The more I get to the top of the frequency where I go, wow, this is my intention. And now I start to feel powerful, prosperous, and I start to be in the flow of my power. That's just one gene code. And there are 64 of them. And we can be expressing 64 different things, high end on one gene, low end on the other, middle on the other. So when we have the ability to see that there is something about us that feels more negative, more dark, more shadow side, more it's a demon, and it expresses itself in some way, that is our amazing systems, our operating systems indicator. The shadow side is expressing itself. Let's start to shift into higher intentions and start to move the frequency up so we can start moving into more of the middle aspect of that frequency and get into the higher realm of it. But if we do this thing that humans do where we go, I don't want to look at it, it scares me, I don't like it, and I talk shit about myself, whatever I do, I can't listen, somebody tries to tell me, I'll ignore it. People do this stuff like that. It's because you're not practiced in actually facing the fact that our system is built in to express the high side of the gene and every type of part of the range. And it's an indicator that tells us. But if we don't have a connection to the fact that we can be expressing the low expression of those genes, we're just lying to ourselves, we're kidding ourselves, and then we don't have the opportunity to do something powerful, which is to make the upgrade when we go right into it. So here's an example, that compromise one, which is the low frequency part of my power gene, which is my highest design. Your top genes that are on the top of your genetic sequence are the ones that are your top design. So like the bottom compromise part of it, the shadow part, the demon part, expresses itself in something like people pleasing, like saying yes when I mean no, or I mean to do something else. And instead of beating oneself up about that, it should be like, oh, look at that just happened. Okay, that's expressing itself. Let me go right into the heart of that. It doesn't make me a bad person, doesn't make you a bad person. It's like, whoop, that's expressing itself. That's the shadow. Let's move into the light. Let's express the lightest version of it, highest version of it. And if we can have this kind of relationship with ourselves that we just go, oh, there's that thing. instead of beating ourselves up or being like, oh, I'm not going to look or I'm not going to listen when someone tries to give us input on it, which is trying to happen for us. Somebody might say, hey, I don't like it when you do that. There's some way in which we're trying to get the upgrade to happen for us, but it's about that willingness to face it. And one of the ways we can face our demons and therefore face our shadow, which is more accurate, and therefore upgrade it into the light, highest self expression of ourselves, is something that may seem really scary or like, I don't know if I want to do it. But my invitation is to go to a next level with it. So, first of all, it's about you being willing to say, is there any demons I need to face right now? Is there any shadow parts of myself expressing myself? Is there anything I need to look at that is just, been unwilling to look at it and just start to move it into a higher, just acknowledge it, start to move it into a higher level? Is we can go to another level, which you're invited to, which is to ask people for input, which is very fascinating. But I like this. This goes from my old days in the corporate world where we'd had these 360 reviews done on us and I just ate it up. I just loved it. Like whatever people are going to say, I wanted to know. Like if there's stuff I don't know, people feel uncomfortable telling me, I want to know. I love it. My VP for those 9.5, almost 10 years is like, one of the greatest skills that you have, Tracy, is to be willing to take in input and criticism. And I don't think of it as criticism. I just think of it as like, I'd like to know. And I don't want to be someone that doesn't ask because I know what it's like to be around people that won't look. And then they can never improve. And then you have to live with the unimproved version of themselves while you're trying to improve. And it's not fun. So there's asking. And maybe you start by asking people that you trust the most. What is something that you think I could upgrade about myself is an example to someone. And just be very open, right? That maybe this is a bestie. Hey, what do you think is something I could upgrade about myself this week? Or in general, whatever it might be. And beginning to build that in. Maybe you're asking someone, what's something I can improve about my communication? Just beginning to build that in to getting comfortable with it. Like, I was having a meeting with my mentor this morning. And toward the end of the session, that's one of the questions that I asked. What's something within these sessions that we are doing? What is something that I could improve to make them better within the session? It's that level you can get to so that you can always take in whatever the input is, whatever the feedback is, whatever the upgrade is, because that's what it is. And now you go from being someone that may not have wanted to face your demons or your shadow to someone that just embraces upgrades and becomes someone that people feel like they can just talk to. Oh my God, that's this thing I was just thinking the other day. You'd be so much happier if you could improve this or this. And that's a level of mastery that creates multimillionaires and billionaires and stuff. People that are just like, they have all these coaches and all these people that are just constant, like, here's what you need to upgrade. Here's what you need to upgrade. So it's amazing because you could do that in any aspect of your life. You can ask a sister, a brother, people in your lives, your team, your coworkers. What's something that I could improve that would make me more productive? Whatever that thing is. Becoming someone like that is the absolute antithesis of how our mass culture is and why we are so constantly repeating the same damn cycles in this world. In humanity, even though we've learned the same lessons for centuries, it's because people are afraid to look at themselves. They're afraid to receive input that's coming from the multiverse, input that's coming through other people, and they're afraid to ask for it, and they're afraid to hear it. They're chicken shit over it because there's all this sensitivity, and they don't see it as an upgrade. So even when it's trying to happen for them, it's perceived as some slight or something. So there's a way to be proactive about it instead of just having reactive things happen to you that give you input about yourself. It's asking, what can I do to be a better friend? What is something you would love me to upgrade? Doesn't mean I'm going to do it necessarily. I just would like to know. Like, I mean, I probably am going to do it, but you're just getting the input so that you become one with what it's like for people, what it's like to actually deal with you, what it's like to actually be in a relationship with you, what it's like to collaborate with you. And this will put you on a top level. So you were invited to that upgrade, to someone that just faces yourself, that gets input about yourself and raises yourself up in awesome upgrades. And you know how much people are going to absolutely love that if they can just tell you and they don't have to walk around for 5 years of this thing they wanted to say to you, but they didn't because they were protecting your feelings. And so you didn't get the upgrade and you didn't get the promotion and you didn't get the millions and you didn't get the part. It's like, this stuff is ridiculous. So this is the kind of thing. You could even be doing something like this. You could have say you have a group of friends, you're all going to dinner, could be just some ritual you do. What's something that you all feel like could improve about myself? Go around, do it. You could also start with what's something you like about me, what's something you appreciate about me, what's something, and do it for everyone. What's something I can improve to be a better person, etc. It's a really strong stance to take, and you are absolutely invited to face yourself, face these demons, face your shadow, because really you're facing the upgrades that are coming in for you and that you can invite in and that you can absolutely help yourself go to a whole next level, a whole next best version of you. All right, everyone. So thanks for receiving this upgrade, taking it in, integrating it, applying it, doing this for yourself, doing your version of it. I'm so glad that you could tune in and just absolutely receive these upgrades, becoming your top mogul self, running your reality, stewarding your reality intentionally. And it's so fun to do these with you. All right, moguls, I will see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.